Welcome to PD on the Go, the podcast that delivers bite-sized learning on communication, collaboration, and facilitation for busy teacher leaders. Tune in while you're in the car, on your lunch break, or making copies, and get ready to level up your leadership skills. My name is Mary Beth Anderson, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Hallie Case, from the Office of Professional Learning in Fairfax County Public Schools. Today, we're focusing on a powerful concept that drives school improvement, collective efficacy. So I feel like this term is kind of thrown out a lot, and not everyone truly understands what is collective efficacy and why is it so important for school improvement. So let's start there.
Okay, so definition of collective efficacy is a team's or a group's shared belief that what they're doing, they have the ability to improve student achievement. So it's not necessarily, it's more of a feeling, which is interesting. So collective efficacy is this feeling or belief that we all bring to the table, that the work that we do matters and it's gonna change things for kids. And the research on that shows that if you have this belief or this feeling, that it does. It makes a huge impact. In fact, it outweighs other factors that may contribute to student success or may, what we think, sometimes take away from student success. It overcomes some of those obstacles and really matters for student achievement. So that's what collective efficacy is. So if you're on a team or in a school where everyone believes that what they're doing collaboratively works together for the betterment of students, you have collective efficacy.
All right, and it's sort of like, how do you make collective efficacy?
Right.
How do you get everyone on board to have this attitude or belief that when we do hard things together, we have great success for our students? And there's sort of like two schools of thought about what comes first. Either your team can all come together with that belief, and because you have that belief, then you can tackle hard tasks together.
Yep.
Or teams might think when we tackle hard things together, we develop the belief of collective efficacy that with all our minds together, we'll have great impact on student success. So I think no matter where your team is, there's a place to start, because your team may already have that belief and you just need to be able to do that work together to affirm it.
Yeah.
Or you're like, well, I don't know if we all believe that, but if we come together and do a hard task or make really great decisions, then we'll have that belief and that will support our students.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like the classic, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And it's a case where maybe it doesn't matter. You can start building collective efficacy no matter where you are. There's entry points for it, because some teachers have self-efficacy, where they believe that the work they do independently will lead to student achievement, and that's a good starting place. If you don't have that yet, and you come together as a group, you can kind of do what you were just describing, Mary Beth, through different ways, which we'll get into next, I think.
It's
around
like a perfect segue.
Oh, perfect.
Like, how do you do this?
Yeah, how do you?
So the research talks about kind of four main ways. And the first way is called mastery moments. So that is the idea where the team takes on the challenging obstacle and they overcome it together.
Yep.
And when we were thinking through these four ways, we really wanted to think about examples. So this could be a team's come together and there's a group of students who haven't learned it yet, but they're ready, the team and pacing is ready to move on, as we often find.
That's very common.
Right?
Yep.
And we don't want to leave this group of students behind. We want to make sure that they've still learned what they need to have proficiency over and them get the new content. So how do we do that? So when the team comes together and they may come up with a really new, innovative, creative way to meet the students' needs, and then they're able to check in with each other. Like, okay, we tried it. How's it going? What adjustments do we need to make? And they're tracking their progress with this goal to overcome that obstacle. And then they see that success. Then it kind of shows them, look, we've all put our heads together. We we worked together, we gave each other some feedback, and then we got to the goal, then we have this can-do attitude and belief, and that really did support student success.
Yeah, so not like a small goal, a kind of bigger thing. Small goals are important, but you don't reach collective efficacy through those. You have to tackle challenges together. Okay, so then the second one is seeing models of success. So with a team, like an example of this from when I worked at a secondary school in an English department as a teacher leader, and we were going to be implementing a new curriculum model of how we structured the class block, and another school was already doing that. So we went together as a team, as a department, and were able to observe the other school. So the second one is really like seeing examples of where it's working well, and that you don't always have to leave the school to do that. That's sort of the example that came up for me. But you could just as easily have someone model in your CLT a lesson that the team planned together. So that's the second one.
It like shows it's possible.
Exactly.
Right, because it's something that's challenging.
Yep.
So we need to know that it's possible and that other people are doing it and that we can do it too.
And there's some vulnerability in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the third way is about providing feedback for each other, which takes some vulnerability.
Yeah, these all sort of do.
Because teaching is something that sometimes can be isolated, right? You kind of do your thing within your four walls, and now we're moving from that self-efficacy to collective efficacy. And so it's important for us to be able to get better and to do a challenging task is to be able to provide productive feedback to each other. So maybe it's if you're moving to a new instructional model, so maybe your team has gone to see this in another school or on another team, and now you're trying it back in your classroom, being able to provide feedback. Oh, I saw you did this, and you implemented this strategy, and I'm wondering about how we might tweak this one part so that we can meet this group of students' needs. And so being able to kind of provide that feedback, but then also act on the feedback too. It can't just be, oh, here's something we could try, and then it's left on the table. Really being able to implement it and talk about it as a group.
Yeah. And I think feedback's important because it doubles the rate at which we learn when we get feedback. But it also speaks to that collective because you're doing it together. It's not just singling out one person. But as a teacher leader, maybe you're the first that's willing to do it as people are learning how to give feedback to each other.
Yeah, and putting yourself out there to be that model of, tell me, what am I doing well and what can I do better?
Yeah. All right, so then the fourth way is relational trust and safety. And we sort of saw the through line in those other three of the need to be vulnerable and to trust each other in a group. So some ways to develop this would be celebrating those wins, right? When the mastery moment works and the students are learning what they hadn't previously learned, celebrate that together. And that builds sort of this feeling of community. Make sure when you're on a team that you're following through on commitments, really honoring those working agreements, doing what you say you're going to do for a team really matters. If you say that you're going to prepare a resource that supports everyone by a certain date, do it, and then people will trust you, right? And then just that vulnerability piece. As a teacher leader, often we are the first who have to step forward to be willing to do something. And when you do that, it can foster this trusting environment and really bring in everybody.
Yeah, and we need that for all of this work, right?
Yes,
that trust
all
is
of
so
it.
important.
The collective efficacy really can't exist if there isn't trust. But when it's there, then everyone's more willing to work through changes, even when they're hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've kind of just scratched the surface about what is collective efficacy and gave 4 really easy tips or places to start to begin building it. And one of our resources that we'll offer our listeners on our teacher leadership site is an article that provides more examples and ways that you can build collective efficacy in your school teams or at your school. So thank you for joining us on this episode of PD on the Go. Check out our Instagram account at FCPS_PD, where you can find more resources for this episode and all of our episodes. Join us next week for more PD on the Go.